Great. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. So in the previous session, we discussed, what are the major factors for doing performance testing? Why do we do performance testing for an already existing application and for a newly built application, right? So I hope there are no queries over here. Any queries before we move to the next topic? Guys, any queries over here? Can I take your silence as no? Okay. So let me move on to the next concept. That is next topic, that is prerequisites for performance testing. So what are the let's understand, what are the prerequisites to do performance testing, right? Everyone knows what is prerequisite means, right? So the first and foremost prerequisite for performance testing is a stable build with no major functional defects. Okay, so so first of all, let's understand functional defect. What is meant by a functional defect, right? So if there are any defects in the functionality of the application, right, it doesn't make sense to do any performance testing, isn't it? Functional testing is, when you are having, functional issues itself. If your application is not working as expected, so there is no point in doing performance testing. Yes or no? Yes, am I audible?
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yes,
And
sir.
also a stable build. The stable build means, every time a new version, some new feature is added, or some new version is released, right? We call that as a build, right? A new build or version, right? So a stable build means the the version should be stable with no major functional defects. That is the first and foremost prerequisite for doing performance testing, right? So I mean, I received a feedback that some few people are unable to understand few words. I'll try to use simple English, right? But right, first and foremost means the very first thing is there should be no major functional defects, and the next thing is performance testing. The next prerequisite is performance testing environment should be identical to production environment, right? You already know what is meant by production environment and what is performance testing environment, right? So this performance testing environment we already discussed, discussed already. Like we do performance testing in a environment called what's that environment called, guys?
Test environment.
Test environment or engineering environment.
Test environment or engineering environment, and that should be identical to production environment, right? What does that mean? Identical to production environment means, let me explain quickly. So suppose your production environment has suppose your production environment is like this, right? That means you in the production environment, which is live. Production environment means nothing but live environment, right? Which real-time users are already using, isn't it? So let's assume that there are 3 web servers, 4 app servers, and 3 database servers in the production environment, in the live environment. And now the environment in which we are doing performance testing also should be identical to this production. Identical by all means, right? Identical in any way means it should be also having 3 web servers, 4 app servers, 3 database servers, and the hardware configuration and software configuration should be same as in production. This hardware and software configuration should be same as in the production environment. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
And also
Yes, sir.
load balancer configuration, all network interface cards, all like the production, the performance testing environment should be an exact replica of production. Then only you'll get accurate results. Clear, guys? Yes or no? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So that's what this point is like, production and performance testing environment should be identical or to production environment, right? Next requirement is to ensure consistent results. The performance testing environment should be isolated from other environments, right? That means there should not be any other testing should going on in that environment. There should not be any other testing going on, like you either user acceptance testing or any development work. So it should be isolated from other environments. Okay, the performance testing environment should be isolated from other environments. Means no other team should be using that performance testing environment, and no other testing while doing performance test executions. No other testing should be done. No other testing should be going on when we are doing performance test executions. And conduct performance testing before application go live, of course. So before the application goes live only, like go live, before itself we need to do performance testing, right? And comprehensive understanding and knowledge of the application, right? So the performance testing team should have a detailed understanding and knowledge of the application. Means they should understand the application architecture. What is the application architecture? What are the upstream and downstream components, right? So please note it down. I will explain that later. What is meant by upstream and downstream components? Okay. So basically, what does it say? The last point says that performance testing team should be having a good idea of the application architecture and all, right? How what are the components, various components involved in the application architecture, and how does they interact with each other. So the complete like performance testing team should be having a clear idea on the application architecture. So these are the prerequisites for doing performance testing, right? So actually move to the next slide, or any queries over here? So Deepika, are you able to hear me? I received a message from her saying that she's unable to hear. Deepika? Okay, so not at all connected to audio. Yeah. Maybe reconnecting. Fine. So let's move on to the next slide then. Right? Any queries here, guys? Guys, am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me move on to the next slide then. So the next concept that we are we want to discuss is understand is what are the different types of performance testing, right? So what are the different types of performance testing? So these are the different types of performance testing. Let me yeah. Let me like I have enlarged the screen. I went to presentation mode. Right. So these are the different types of performance testing days. Load testing, endurance testing, volume testing, scalability testing, spike testing, and stress testing. Right. And like let's understand one by one. Okay. Let's understand what is the purpose of each. When we have different types of performance testing, let's understand what is the purpose of each. Right. The first type of testing is load testing. Load testing is nothing but which we do with expected or normal user load for 1 to 2 hours. Right? Load testing is a type of testing. There are different types of performance testing. Like we have all the important types of performance testing here. And the first and foremost one is load testing. Load testing is something which we do with expected or normal user load for 1 to 2 hours. Right? What is normal user load, right? So like if you are testing IRCTC, the normal user load, like of course that is per day. Per day, like there will be 5 to 6 lakh users per day, right? And the at any point of time the user load may be 1 lakh users or 2 lakh users, something like that, right? So when you are testing, when you are doing load testing, right, we have to find out like what is the normal or expected user load on the application, and we have to test the application for 1 to 2 hours when you are doing load testing. Clear, guys? Now let's understand the other testing types. The next one is soak or endurance test, right? Soak or endurance test. This means long duration test. Okay. And how long it is depends on the business hours of the application, right? The endurance test duration depends on the business hours of the application. Okay. So let me explain what is, what is meant by business hours, right? Let me open your notes. Soak or endurance test, right? This is long duration test. long duration test, and it depends on the duration depends on the number of business hours. What is meant by business hours, right? Say for example, if you are testing a net banking application, right? You are testing a net banking application. So mostly we'll be using net banking from, say for example, from morning 8 to night 10, isn't it? Yes.
Sir.
Maybe net banking application you may be using mostly from most of the users, will be using from morning 8 to some evening 10, isn't it? So that is business hours of the application, right? Or if you take some LIC of India application, okay? So if it is customer portal, it may be used from morning 8 to evening 10 again. But if it is for the staff, right? Say for example LIC staff. So from what time they will be using, I think LIC office timings are 10 to 4, isn't it? So that is a business hours of the application, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right? If it is a application used by LIC staff base, right? If it is a customer portal, then that would be different. Customers may be using from morning 8 to night 10, right? Or else if you take some bank, right? So working hours may be like some 10 to 3 o'clock, like that, 3 or 4 o'clock, right? So that is the business hours. That is what business hours means. Clear, guys? So so generally this this SOAP test or endurance test we will be doing for 8 hours or 16 or 12 hours or 16 hours and so on, right? So this is endurance tests are nothing but long duration tests, and which will be done by based on the number of business hours of the application. Clear, guys? So what is the objective here? We will discuss that later. Okay. So first let's understand what are the different types of performance testing, right? The next type of testing is stress testing. So the reason why I have highlighted these in a different color is, these two are most, important types of performance testing that should be done for any application, most of the applications. Clear, guys?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Most frequently done types of testing. Okay. Second, guys. Sorry. The next type of testing is stress testing, right? So stress testing is something which we do with more than normal load on the application, right? For example, if we have a travel application like Redbus or IRCTC, right? Normally, if there are some 1 lakh users, right? Whenever let's assume that there are 1 lakh users who will be using that Redbus application or some IRCTC application. But whenever there is some vacation like this, like right now we have Dasra, right? So in the same way, whenever we have some vacation or festival days, right? So obviously, like there will be more number of users on the application, right, than usual load.
Yes.
More and
Yes,
more
sir.
number of users will be using the application, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you are testing this kind of application where there will be some few days, like there will be more than expected load, right? So we have to do this stress testing also for such kind of application. We should do stress testing also apart from load and soak test, right? So apart from that, the next type of testing is spike testing. So spike testing will be done, if I want to give some examples which require spike testing, right? So these e-commerce application like Flipkart or Amazon, when they have big billion sale or freedom sale, right, or festival sale, right? So like then we will be having when there is some big billion sale or then when there is some flash sale, right? Then like we will be having a sudden surge in the user load, isn't it? There will be a sudden surge in the user load, right? Surge means a spike in the user load, right? So, or if it is Tatkal booking for IRCTC or like flash sale for e-commerce applications, then there will be a sudden surge. Suddenly like thousands and lakhs of users will be trying to access the application at same point of time. So for such type of applications, you require this spike testing. Okay, not all applications require all different types of application doesn't require this stress testing or spike testing. Only such kind of applications, right? Only few types of application require this stress testing or spike testing, right? And the next type of testing is volume testing. Volume testing, so here it is, guys. The next type of testing is volume testing. Volume testing is load test with expected load and huge volume of data in the database, right? Load test with expected load and huge volume of data in the database, right? Yes, please, like very important concept to understand. Once I complete this slide deck, right, I have some, I'll show you some graphs. You have to identify what type of test is that on seeing the graph, because in interviews, so you need to understand, first of all, everyone should be having a clear idea, like, what is the difference, what are the different types of performance testing, and, when do we do each type of performance testing, right? And also very important for interview, from interview perspective, right? Some interviewers ask, like, can you draw a graph for spike testing, or can you draw a graph for, stress testing, like that? Can you draw a graph for volume testing? So I'll show you some graphs, and you have to identify what type of test is that after this slide, guys, right? The next type of testing is, after volume testing, the next type of testing is, scalability testing. Scalability testing means, as it is here in this logo, I have kept here, but these are the important load tests. These are the important types of performance testing, guys. First two important types, which any application requires is load testing and soak testing. Next, stress testing, and some applications require stress testing and spike testing, right?
Sir,
And yes.
Sir, 1 minute. It seems to be stress testing and spike testing. It seems to be same.
Now here, stress testing will be done, with more than normal load, but they may not be logging in. They may not be using the application simultaneously. Okay.
Oh.
But when you say spike testing, right? So, any application where there will be a sudden surge in user load, sudden surge means all of a sudden there will be thousands and lakhs of users who will be trying to access the application. Such kind of applications we do spike testing.
Okay.
Here, there may be more than normal load, but that user load may be spread across the day. Clear?
Okay.
So
Is
can
it
you
clear
please?
or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you see the examples, you can easily understand. Whenever we have Tatkal booking, right, exactly at 10 a.m., like, or 11 a.m., we have Tatkal booking 2 times, right? At 10 and 11. For 10, I think, it's for AC class, and then 11 and 11 a.m. for non-AC, something like that, right? So at that time, suddenly, as soon as the clock strikes 10, like, you will be lakhs of users or thousands of users maybe will be trying to access the IRCTC application. Whenever there is a flash sale or big billion sale, right? Then there will be, on these e-commerce applications, there will be lakhs of users who will be trying to access the application suddenly at same point of time. That is spike testing. So for such type of applications require this spike testing. Is it clear now what is the difference between stress and spike testing?
Yes, yeah.
But here in this case, right, stress testing. So whenever, if you take some travel application like IRCTC or Redbus, right? So let's assume that there are 1 lakh users per day on an average, normally, let's assume that there will be 1 lakh users per day, right? However, when there is some vacation, or, when there is some, New Year or Pongal, or, any other vacation or festival days, right? So you'll have, like, more than expected user load, but all the users may not be trying to log in at the same time, isn't it?
Yes.
For such kind of scenarios, for such kind of applications, we need to do stress testing, right?
Okay.
The next type of testing is scalability testing. So testing an application to verify how much it can scale, right? So this is testing an application for future user load, right? Scalability testing means testing an application to verify how much it can scale up. Means, for example, Facebook, let's assume that Facebook has 10 million users across the globe right now. Let's assume that there are 10 million users for Facebook. And in the next 2 to 3 years, let's assume that there will be 20 million users, right? So scalability testing means, if Facebook is testing their application to verify, like, how much it can scale, what is the maximum load that it can support, right? So that is called as scalability testing, right? This is testing an application for future load. Clear, guys?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next.
Yes.
So there are few more performance testing types, that is failover testing and, capacity testing, right? Failover testing and capacity testing. So I'll explain this failover testing and, capacity. First, let me explain what is failover testing, right? So I want to, so I'll give some real time, example for that, well-known example for that. First, let's understand what is failover testing. So any web application, like any web application will be having a backup environment, okay? Main environment and backup environment, right? So that in different locations, okay? Because, like if you see in US or, Japan or, there will be like frequent, hurricanes and all, right? In Japan or US, you will be, in Japan, there will be frequent earthquakes, and in US, you will be hearing these hurricanes, right? So, so let's say, for example, one company is operating from New York City, and, they have the main servers and all in New York City. And now let's assume that there is a hurricane or there is some, natural calamity in that New York, right? Then, what happens? There may be some power interruption for a few days, or there may be some disruptions, right? And the main environment may be down, isn't it? Or else, we know Mumbai floods, right? Last year or before last year, we have floods in Mumbai. We had floods in Mumbai, isn't it? So then, like many cities, the normal life in Mumbai was disrupted a lot, right? It was disturbed a lot, and, there are floods all over the city, and, there are power outages and all, right? In such case, if the main environment is down, right? So, any web application, it will be having a backup environment in some other location, okay, some other city, so that if the main environment is down, right, the backup environment will be taking that user load, right, to continue the business. This is called, business continuity of business, okay? So let me write it down. This term is called, continuity of business, right? So in India, for example, State Bank of India has its headquarters in Mumbai, and suppose there is some, natural calamity, or, there is some floods in Mumbai, and, you have power interruption for 1 or 2 days, right? They will be having power backup, but, but that may not be sufficient for, more than 1 or 2 days, isn't it? So to continue the business, to maintain the continuity of business, right, they will be having, State Bank of India may be having a backup environment in some other city, so that whenever there is some natural calamity, or whenever there is some, power interruptions, or, anything as such happens, right? So the business should continue, their business should continue, isn't it? Yes or no? So if you take the example of Japan, right? So now it may be Japan is very well known for earthquakes, right? So let's say that there is some earthquake, and, there are cable breakdown and all, right? So, again, like, there will be to continue the business, right? They will be having the backup environment in some other city, and, testing that backup environment, how it is working, right? So that is called as failover testing, guys. That's called as failover testing, this one, right? So if you want to take some example, right, let's take some example. So assume that there are power disruptions, or, power interruptions at your home, right? So, and you will set up some inverter, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You will set up some inverter, and, you will buy some inverter battery setup, and, you will get it installed at your home, right? And you give connections to the main, required points, minimum required, electrical points at your home, right? And, to test, once the electrician does that, right? Once the technician does that setup and all, will you wait for, the power to go off to test whether, that inverter is working fine or not? Definitely will not wait, right? What do you do, like, to test that? Once this, technician gives all the connections to that, set up this in power backup, what do you do normally, guys?
Switch off the main.
You'll simply switch off the main power and see whether, the backup is working fine or not. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So, but you will not wait for the power, power outage, right? Yes or no? You switch off the main
Yes.
power and you will test whether your inverter is working fine or not, and and all the required points or electrical points are getting the power supply or not from the backup, isn't it? So
Yes.
and again, like you switch on the mains power and see whether it is working fine or not, isn't it? So the same way, this failover testing also we do the same thing. We'll bring the we'll start the test, we'll start our performance testing, bring the main environment down, and see whether the backup environment is, whether the user load is getting redirected to the backup environment or not, right? And again, we bring up the main environment. Now the user load should go to the main environment, right? So this is the same way that we do this failover testing. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right? And capacity testing is like to determine what is the capacity of an environment, like what is the max capacity that it can handle. So scalability and capacity, almost similar, right? So scalability testing and capacity testing. However, there are some few differences between scalability and capacity testing, which we'll discuss in the coming up sessions, right? So these are the different types of performance testing. There may be few other, but these are the important types of performance testing. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. So shall we move to the next slide, or any queries here?
Any example for volume testing?
Yes. Volume testing, let's take some internet banking application, right? Some net banking application. So when you are doing, more, as users are doing transactions, users do transactions on a daily basis or a daily basis, right? Every day, like we do some transactions, and some entries will be stored in some entries should be made in the database, right? Means your transactions should be stored in the database, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? And as time goes on, right, as as users are using the application, the volume of data in the database will increase, right?
Yes.
Right? So see, initially when there is low volume of data, low number of records in the database, your application may be performing faster. Your application should be performing faster. But as database volume grows, as the number of transactions in the database grows up, right? So it may not show the same performance as before when there is less volume in the database, right?
Yes.
So such applications, like such e-commerce applications or net banking applications, they do this volume testing with some volume of data in the database. For example, they will always maintain some, they will keep a cutoff point, right? Like the number of records in the database should not be more than 1 lakh. Let's say take this example, right? So the number of they will maintain 1 lakh records in the database, and once they crosses the volume, right, that 1 lakh records, right, they will move the old transactions to the different partition called history partition. In database there will be something called active partition and history partition. Okay, active partition and history partition. So in the active partition, they may be maintaining some some 1 lakh records, right? So volume testing is done, when we have 1 lakh records in the database, how the application is performing, how the response times are. To test that, we do this volume testing. We'll discuss that later, that, active partition and history partition concept later on. When we start executing the test, right, I'll cover this again. I'll revisit that again, right? But for now, you understood, right? When I say huge volume of data in the database, you understood what does that mean, right?
Yes.
Whenever you are making some fund transfer, or whenever you are making any transaction in the net banking application, one record will be added to the database, will be inserted in the database. Or if you take some e-commerce application, whenever you buy a product, one entry will be made in the database, right? So obviously after some days, the volume of data increases, isn't it? As
Yes.
users are using the application, volume of data will be increasing, and your database may be performing slow. Your database may be becoming may become slow, and response times may be high, right? So to test how the application is behaving with certain volume of data in the database, we use this volume testing.
Okay.
Any other queries, guys? Anjali, are you able to follow? Ayesha, Anjali?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Mamata, Manikanta.
Yes, sir.
Tarun, are you with us?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Shall we move to the next slide then?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
Now I have listed out some points, some description about each type of test, right? So the first one is load test. Load testing generally simulates current user load on the system, right? Current user load or normal user load on the system, and usually done for 1 to 2 hours, right? And load test ensures that the application is stable and can handle expected peak load, right? Load test ensures that the application is stable and can handle expected peak load. Load test is the mandatory test that will be done prior to any other performance test type, right? Load test is mandatory test. The first and foremost type of performance testing is load test that should be done prior to any other performance test type. Means before doing soak test or stress test or spike test, first we have to test the application with the current user load or expected user load on the application, right? And the next type of testing is endurance testing. As I explained, it is a long duration test based on the business hours of the application. And the business hours of an application can be, it can be like, 4 hours or 8 hours or, 16 hours or 1 day, or it can be 3 days, right? So this is about, soak test or endurance test. And, the main purpose of doing this, endurance test is to find out any memory leaks in the application. So we will discuss this, what is meant by memory leak, what is meant by connection leak. We'll discuss that, in the coming up sessions. For now, remember that, there is a main objective of doing this soak test is to find out any memory leaks or connection leaks, right? I'll explain what is a memory leak and, what is a connection leak in the coming up sessions. Okay. But for now, remember that soak test is a long duration test, right? And it is, the duration depends on the business hours of the application. Clear, guys?
Yes.
And the next type of testing is stress test. It is done by gradually increasing the user load until the application breaks, right? Stress test is done by gradual increase of user load until the application breaks, right? Main purpose of stress testing is to identify an application's breaking point. Means what is the maximum load that it can support before it breaks down, before it stops responding, right? That is the main purpose of stress testing, right? And response times and error count increases once breaking point is attained, right? How do you determine that the breaking point is attained? Based on, your response times may be increasing and you may start seeing errors also. The error count also increases once the application breaking point is reached. Clear, guys? And how is it done? It is done by gradual increase of user load until the application breaks. Clear, guys?
Yes. Sir.
Spotlight. Next, the next type of testing is spike test, right? As we discussed, the next type of testing is spike test. It is done by sudden increase in user load here, right? So, we do this spike test by sudden increase in the user load beyond expected load for shorter duration. Means you will increase the load suddenly and bring it down. You will maintain for some period and, you will bring it down, bring the user load down, right? And spike test can be considered as a subset of stress testing. The next type of testing is volume testing. Volume testing is done to verify response times when there is huge volume of data in the database. This is just, a recap of, the different types of testing, right? And it is also referred to as flood testing. Volume testing is, some people call it as flood testing. Volume test is done to analyze the system performance by increasing the volume of data in the database. Means volume of data means number of records in the database, right? The next type of testing is scalability testing, which is performed to identify if the application is capable to scale up in terms of user load, right? What is the, scalable, how scalable is the application. To identify that, we do this scalability testing, right? And failover testing, I already explained just now. Failover testing is used to verify the system's ability to continue day-to-day operations. I gave one term for this, to continue day-to-day operations, right? While the processing part is transferred to a backup. What did, like I gave some term for this, guys. What is that? Continuity of
business.
Continuity of business, right? To test whether, backup environment, if the main environment is down, right? To check whether backup environment can take up that load or not, we do this failover testing, right? And it can determine if a system is able to allocate additional resources when needed, or even if it is able to recognize when the need has arisen. Okay, so hold on. So I think this is enough. The first statement is enough for this failover testing. Okay, this is clear, right? To continue day-to-day operations, verify the system's ability to continue day-to-day operations while the processing part is transferred to a backup. This is clear, right? I mean, everyone knows that example, inverter example, right? So if you know that, you can understand, or you can explain this failover testing easily by correlating with that, example, isn't it?
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
For failover testing, you gave two examples, right? One is regarding natural calamity and one is inverter. We understood the example, but can you tell one more example in real time, like Amazon? Let's take Amazon or Flipkart. That is the real environment which customers use, right? So suppose there is a
Right.
crash, what is the backup for Amazon or Flipkart?
Yeah, they will be.
I don't know if my question is correct.
Yes, it's correct. So, if say for example, Amazon has some data center in Mumbai. Okay. So if that, data center goes down, right?
Yeah.
If the data center goes down, that Mumbai's data center goes down, right? So all the load will be immediately transferred to some other backup environment. For example, Hyderabad, they have set up another data center for Amazon, right? Amazon has set up, one data center recently in Hyderabad, right? So if the backup environment, if the application backup environment is in Hyderabad, right? And if Mumbai data center goes down, right? So because of some terror attacks or something, terror attacks or natural calamities or whatever reason, which is beyond the human control, right? So, immediately, like, the backup environment will be taking up that load. Means whenever user try to access the application, that load goes to the backup environment. And once the main environment is down, right? Because, backup environment will be smaller than main environment, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, once the main environment is up and running, again, all the user load, when users are accessing the application, that user request should go to the main environment again, right? To verify that, whether, it is switching back if main environment is down, if it is, backup environment is up and running. And again, once the main environment is up, all the user load should go to main environment only, but not backup environment, right?
Okay.
So to verify that, we do this failover testing.
Okay, to verify. So here, suppose I am the customer, so I don't know, I am using a site, Flipkart example. So now I will not know whether the server is using backup or the customer will not know anything.
Correct.
Okay.
Customer will not be aware of that, definitely customer will not be aware of that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Understood.
Maybe if your response times are high, one thing that you can observe is, when it is running on backup environment, your response times may be high. Your application may be responding slow, but user will not really know whether it is using main environment or backup environment, right?
Okay.
So now any queries before we move to the next slide? I have
so
some
here when we do performance testing, we do all kinds of tests and we do backup testing also. I mean, we do this testing also before we give the product to customer.
Right.
And
before before that build goes to production, we do all these types of testing.
Okay.
Anjali, right?
Yeah, got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So yes. So now let's have some quick assessment on the concepts discussed just now, right? and we'll close the session for today, right? Now, let me show you some graphs and, can you identify what type of test is this? So before identifying, observe that, on the x-axis, this is called x-axis, right? Horizontal line, this is called as x-axis, and this is y-axis, right? On the x-axis, you have time or test duration, and on the y-axis, you have virtual users, means user load, right? Now, what type of test is this? I would like to ask
Spike.
you guys. Hold on. So I would like to ask you guys, Maulika, what type of test is this? Maulika? Maulika, are you with us? Maulika, you are on mute if you are speaking. Can you please unmute yourself? Maulika, please respond, say yes or no. If you don't know, you can say that, I'm not sure. Ayesha,
Yes, sir.
what type of test is this? See, observe here, on the x-axis, we have duration, and on the y-axis, you have user load. So, see here. So this is the normal user load. Let's assume that this is the normal user load. Let me do one thing. Let me annotate and, let me explain the graph first. Right? Let's assume that this is the normal load on the application. Okay. Say, for example, there are 10,000 users at this point. And observe here what we are, as the graph indicates that there is some. Yes. Yes, anyone?
Increasing number of users. That means, spike.
Right. So this graph represents a spike test, right? That's what we discussed just now, isn't it? Spike testing is, for example, what kind of application, for what kind of applications we do spike testing? We do this, for this, Flipkart or Amazon, whenever there is a big billion share of flash sale, right? There may be sudden surge in the user load, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? Or Tatkal booking for IRCTC, whenever you have Tatkal booking counter open, right? Tatkal counter opens, right? There will be a sudden surge in user load for some duration. Yes or no? And again, it will come to normalcy after some time, isn't it? So this graph represents a
Spike.
what type of test?
Spike.
Spike
Spike
test.
test.
Right. Shall we move to the next one, guys? Is it clear, guys?
Yeah.
Some interviewers ask you, to draw the graph. Okay. That's the reason I have included this, guys. Okay. And next, and also you need to understand, each type of performance testing in detail, how to represent in the form of a graph, right? And now, what type of test is this? Again, on x-axis you have test duration, and on y-axis you have virtual users. Now, what type of test is this? Observe here.
Load.
Test.
Load testing. Load
Stress.
testing.
Load test, right? Because here, you can clearly observe here,
Time
user
duration.
load is duration is mentioned as 1 hour, right? And observe here, this period is called as ramp up. Let me explain this graph. See, means this period is called this, this part of the graph is called as ramp up. Means we gradually increase the user load, right? For any application, all the users will not log in at once in the morning, right? Agree with that?
Yeah.
For any application like Redbus or or net banking application or in e-commerce application. So, all users will not, log in at once normally, right? So, we will gradually increase the user load. This is called as ramp up, right? This is called as ramp up. And this is called as steady state. We maintain that load for some duration, like 1 hour or so. And then we gradually ramp down the users, right? This is called as ramp down. This is called as ramp down period. Okay. You understood what is meant by ramp up and ramp down? Nothing but, you increase the user load gradually. The duration in which you increase the user load gradually is called as ramp up. And this is called as steady state. This is called as steady state. Okay. Let me note it down here. Your notes. Ramp up, right? Ramp up period. Right? What is this, ramp up period? The test duration in which we gradually increase the user load. Right? That is called as ramp up period. The next period is called steady state period. Right? So we maintain some fixed user load. Maintain some constant user load or fixed user load. Right? And ramp down means the test duration in which we gradually decrease the user load. That is called as ramp down period. Right? That is called as ramp down period. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So now shall we move to the next slide, guys? What type of test is this one? So let me ask. Please wait. Let me ask. Kiran, what type of test is this?
Scalability test.
No, it's not scalability test.
Soak test.
No. Is time period mentioned anywhere here? What is soak test?
Soak test
Soak
is
test is-
longer duration.
Yes. So is there any duration mentioned here anywhere?
No.
No, right? So can we consider this as stress test? What is stress test? We discussed just now.
More than
How
normal
do we
is
do
about
that? How do we do that stress test, right? Gradual stress test is done by gradual increase of user load until the application breaks, isn't it? That is called as stress test. So observe here what we are doing here. We are ramping up the users, maintaining some steady state, again increasing the user load, again waiting for some time, again increasing the user load. So we are gradually increasing the user load, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right? So
Yes.
this graph best represents a stress test, isn't it? Next, the next graph. Yeah, let me ask someone, like Monica, what type of test is this one?
Soak test or endurance?
Soak test, endurance.
Right. Soak or endurance test, because you can clearly see here, the duration is specified as 5 hours, right? So
Yes.
this is longer duration test, which is called as soak or endurance test, technically called as soak or endurance test, right? And what type of test is this? Observe here now, till now, on the y-axis, you have virtual users in all the graphs, previous graphs. Now observe here, on the y-axis, you have data quantity.
Volume test.
And on the x-axis, test time, test duration. Yes.
Volume test.
Right. So this represents the graph. This graph represents particular graph represents a volume test, isn't it? So because see, that on the y-axis data quantity is represented, right? Data volume, right? Data volume or data quantity is represented, and you can see here, that data volume is increasing with time, isn't it?
Yes.
The data volume or the number of records in the database. This represents a volume test because you can see the data quantity is increasing over time, means or the volume of number of records in the database increases over time, isn't it? That's why this graph represents a volume test, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's discuss. Are we good here, guys? Now can you I have shown you the graphs and I asked you. Now you should be able to, if someone asks you to draw, to plot a graph for soak test or endurance, soak test or load test or stress test or any type of testing, you should be able to answer now. You should be able to draw the graph now. Can you draw the graph, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
Right. Please remember that like you should always represent time on x-axis and the other metric on y-axis. Okay.
Okay.
Time should be always represented on x-axis only. Okay. Yeah. So shall we move to the next slide, guys? If you don't have any queries here,
Yes, sir.
we'll move to the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. So now let's understand the importance of performance testing, right? So like first and foremost thing is user satisfaction. If user is like hold on, let me clear this and let me hide this. Right. So most users move away to other sites or applications if response time is more than 5 seconds. Right. Say for example, you are trying to purchase a product on Flipkart, right? And let's assume that it is not you searched for a product and it is not loading the page, right? So you see once or twice you may ignore it, but if it happens every time, what will you do? when you are trying to use the application and if it is not responding for, in within seconds, right? What do you generally do?
You will switch to another application. Amazon.
Right. You may be going to Amazon or some other competitor, isn't it? So that's what I mentioned here. Most users move away to other sites or applications, other websites or applications, if response time is more than 5 seconds, right? And there will be, so what does it happen? Actually that business, that whatever website is not working, they will lose the business. And at the same time, that business goes to your competitor, isn't it? And once a user moves to other, website, right, other application, he may not come back to you, very soon. He may not come back to you, right? He may continue using that competitor's website. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? And because of web applications performance, poor web application performance, the revenue impact will be $4 to $5 billion revenue loss, right? It's estimated that there will be $4 to $5 billion revenue loss because of pure web application performance. Just because your web application is slow, the the impact of revenue will be in billions of dollars, right? And inadequate performance can adversely impact the revenue by up to 10% as per a research done by Aberdeen. Aberdeen is a research organization which have done some research and came to a number that inadequate performance of your application can impact the revenue by up to any company's revenue by up to 10%, right? Now it may be much more than that. And business performance begins to suffer at 5 seconds of delay in web application response time and 4 seconds for critical applications. Means nowadays, most of the applications, respond within 5 seconds, right? If it crosses 5 seconds, right, your business performance will start suffering that. Will, feel that, that your business will be impacting very badly, right? If it is, if any web application response time is more than 5 seconds, or for critical applications, it should not be more than 4 seconds. The response time should not be more than 4 seconds, right? So once it crosses these values, your business will be performing poor. It will start suffering because of the poor web application performance, right? Any additional second of waiting on a website significantly impacts customer satisfaction and visitor conversions, right? Any additional second of waiting more than this 5 seconds or 4 seconds, it will significantly impact the customer satisfaction and visitor conversions, right? So sometimes, we visit some website, for example, you came to know that JioMart is launched, right? So, you may want to see how that JioMart looks like, or, how is that, how is that e-commerce site? And if you, suppose, that is a visitor, you are visiting a website, you haven't created the account yet with JioMart, right? See, from many years you are habituated to Flipkart and Amazon. Suppose there is some new competitor or new organization which came into the business, right? Once you know that, you may be visiting to their website, just visit the homepage and see how it is. If you like that, if you like the website performance and if you like the products, then you may create an account, right? That is called as visitor conversion. Visitor conversion means, visitor means a normal user who just browses the website and goes off. Visitor conversion means you create an account, you start using it, then they got a regular customer, right? So that is visitor conversion. That is what visitor conversion means, isn't it, guys? So any additional second of waiting on a website, it significantly impacts the customer satisfaction. If a new visitor comes to our website and if he has to wait for long time, wait for more than 5 seconds or 6 seconds, right? So it will significantly impact, and that visitor may not come back to the website again, right? So, and page viewers conversion rate and customer satisfaction drops some 11%, 7%, and 16% respectively. No need to remember these numbers, guys, but you need to what all you need to understand is, if your web application or if your mobile app, even this applies for mobile apps also, right? So if your app is not responding, or if your web application is performing slow, right? So this is, page viewers conversion rate and customer satisfaction drops by this much percentage, right? It will significantly impact the customer satisfaction and it will significantly impact the revenue of the business also. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that is a that's the reason, like, performance testing is so important, and that is the reason, like, actually whenever a new build comes into for testing, right, it's actually performance testing team who has to give a go or no go, right? And means whenever some new feature is developed or whenever some new build is going to release, right? So performance testing team should certify that whether that build should go into production or not, right? Or it requires further tuning, right? So that's the reason, like, performance test engineers are paid equal to developers, more or less equal to the developers. Got it, guys?
So usually the performance testing, it will come after the functional testing has been finished without any defect, isn't it?
So that used to be previously. Once functional testing is done, we used to do performance testing previously. But nowadays, right, in agile model, we don't have that much time. We cannot wait till that performance testing is completed. So basically, once the new build is deployed, right, functional testing team will be doing their functional testing. Performance testing team, what we do is, like, we will test all the major business flows if the major business flows are working fine or not, and we know, like, we will if there are any major functional defects, like, we will be raising a ticket with the development team, and we'll start triaging. Okay, let me type it down. Triage. Triaging means, raising a support ticket and raising a what I can say, raising a ticket and following up with that, following up to fix the defect. So this process is called triaging. So like, functional testing team will be doing on at their own pace, right? At the same time, performance testing team also will be checking the major business flows, and they will, if major business flows are working fine, they will move on to the performance testing. They will start doing the performance testing. Okay.
Okay.
So as you said, like before, in waterfall model, this testing comes after development is completed, right? In waterfall model, but no one is following this waterfall model nowadays, right? In waterfall model, each process starts after the previous phase is completed. For example, design phase will be started after analysis phase is completed. After design phase is done, then development phase will be started. Once development is completed, then testing phase will be started in waterfall model. But nowadays no one is using this waterfall model, but most of the companies are using an approach called agile model, right? So we'll discuss that when we are I will explain agile methodology also, then I will explain that, like, how does this functional testing and performance testing goes hand in hand along with the development. As soon as development is started nowadays, functional testing team will be doing their functional testing, QA team will be doing their functional testing, and like, performance testing team will be doing this non-functional testing, right, in parallel with the development, right? As soon as some new code is developed, some new classes are deployed, we will be doing QA team will be doing that, like our QA team will be doing that functional testing, and performance testing team will be doing this non-functional testing, right? Of course, like, functional testing and non-functional testing as both fall under QA only, quality analysis or quality assurance. But there will be separate team for functional testing and performance testing. So both of these teams will be working in parallel in agile methodology, guys. Clear, guys?
Yes.
This is an old model, like, no one is using it nowadays. Most of the companies or most of the projects are following agile methodology. So we'll discuss that, once we are done with the scripting and test executions are done, then we will discuss about that agile methodology. Okay. But you understood, right, what is the meaning of waterfall model, everyone? So in waterfall model, each phase will be started after previous phase is completed, right? So that means testing will be started after development is completed, right? However, no one is following this waterfall model nowadays. but this is suitable for only small projects, very small projects. Okay, this is suitable for only very small projects. Nowadays, most of the companies are following agile methodology, and we'll discuss that agile methodology in detail. Once we complete scripting and executions, we'll discuss that. Okay. Is it clear? Like, who asked that? Is it Anjali who asked that? Yes, please respond. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear, guys? What is waterfall model?
Yes.
At least what is waterfall model? You understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I will stop it here for today. So tomorrow we will be discussing like the 2-tier versus 3-tier architecture, and we will be also discussing like how a traditional 3-tier architecture look like, right? We will be discussing these these 3 slides, okay? And this one as well, new n-tier architecture. We'll be discussing these concepts tomorrow from slide 30 to 33. Okay. So any queries before we close the session for today? So I'm pausing the recording, guys. Please for recording purpose, please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.